Hello and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and unfortunately, Rose can't be here with us today. She's stuck at work dealing with some bogans. However, I have another lovely young woman joining me today instead. Please welcome the host of Paranormal Spotlight Radio on liveparanormal.com and paranormal investigator, Niki ParaUnNormal. Welcome aboard, Niki.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for having me. I'm doing good.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you on. I mean, it was pretty short notice, but you're up to the challenge and just like bam, here you are.
Yeah, here I am.
Okay, so something I'm curious about is your handle, ParaUnNormal.
It's really funny because my doctor, actually, I went to my primary care doctor and I had to have an EKG, and he walks in the room and I said, so how was it? And he goes, well, it wasn't normal. He goes, but neither are you. I said, so am I being diagnosed as unnormal? And he goes, yeah, pretty much. And he walked out of the room because he's a friend of mine. So he just walks out of the room and I'm like, well, what's up with that? And it kind of it made sense to me because of, my interest in the paranormal. What is normal when it comes to the paranormal?
Good question.
There is no normal. So I'm paranormal. I'm not at all normal. I'm an oxymoron.
It fits. Because it fits your personality very well.
Yes. I'm different.
And different's always good. No one wants to be the same old boring thing over and over.
Exactly. We have enough of that in this field.
Yeah, so, which I will get into a little later, because I have a few issues with paranormal investigators. Not you in particular, just some other guys. So, we'll talk about that later.
I do too, so we can chat about that every day.
Okay, so you were very young when the paranormal came a-knocking at your door, and it never left. It just stayed. It was like, hey, Niki, what's up? Hey, girl.
Exactly.
Take us through some of your young Niki ParaUnNormal investigations.
Okay, well, when I was very little, I lived in an old farmhouse. And the old farmhouse was, one of those, it was just a normal old farmhouse, but there was this one particular room that was my great-grandmother's, area. She didn't live with us, but this was her house that we had moved into. And she had all of her awesome things. As a little kid, I thought that it was a, special place that I was not allowed in. So it obviously was full of candy and treasures and all the things that in the world that I wanted that I couldn't have. So they actually kept this door locked with a padlock on the outside because it was kind of like my great-grandmother's area to come reminisce, I guess, with her stuff. So she had a lot of ceramics, a lot of very expensive lamps, china, all sorts of stuff in there. And as a small child, it just seemed like it was everything in the world that, you're not allowed to touch. You're not allowed to run around. And this room was off limits to me. So, of course, I wanted to be in there. Well, there were times when I would see that the door was open. I would think that my great-grandmother had came over to go, I guess, look at her things or whatever she did in there. So I would see that, it's unlocked. So I'd go in. And I noticed, I'm like, hey, where is she? I'm looking around. This was a really big room. It was actually a separate area. It was pretty big. I'm looking around for her, and she's not in there. And that's the moment that I'm like, oh, yeah. I am in my own little heaven. No one knows that I'm in here right now. No one's in here with me. So I got to nose around, touch all the things I'm not allowed to touch. It was great. But, the door was open. Like I said, Grandma was nowhere to be found. And my mother comes and finds me in there. And she's freaking out, screaming at me. Why are you in there? How did you get in there? And she said that Grandma wasn't there and no one unlocked that door. Now, it was one of those padlock things that had a key. It wasn't a combination or anything. And I still, to this day, do not know where they had the key. So my mom didn't unlock it. My grandmother wasn't there. My dad had no interest in this room, nor did he probably even have a key to it, nor did he care where the key was. So it was kind of a mystery as to how this kept getting open. So, how was I getting in there? I still don't know the answers to that, but I wanted to figure it out. I had also seen a woman upstairs in a bathroom, and I asked my mom who she was, who'd she have over, And my mom said that there was no one over, and I said, she's in the bathroom, and I described her, and my mom's like, you're crazy. So, and she walked over there, she looked, she goes, there's nobody in there. I said, well, she's not in there now, but who did you have over? Like, who are you hanging out with that wears long, like, skirts? Like, my mom wasn't into that. So I'm like, who is that lady, And I was just all these things together between that room, the lock, and this lady. I wanted to figure things out, so I would get into flour, baby powder, anything, just regular, like, desk tape, the Scotch tape, put it on doors to see if someone had opened it or not, on drawers. I would spread the flour and baby powder out to see if anyone walked or made the movement in a certain area. Needless to say, I drove my mom nuts.
You know what, though? That's pretty freaking smart to do that.
Yeah, and you can't do that nowadays because a lot of places will, and I don't blame them because I know the look on my mother's face said it all, and her cleaning up the aftermath of my quest for answers was definitely not fun, and I definitely got in a lot of trouble because that stuff is really hard to get out of wood floor.
Oh, boy.
Especially a really old farmhouse wood floor. Yeah, right. I'm pretty sure that's probably still in. Some of the baby powder and flour is probably still in that floor, wherever it may be, but...
Oh, bad, Nikki, bad.
Yeah. So you can't really do that nowadays. A lot of places frown upon that. I totally get it. But, these were the things that I had at my fingertips that I could try to get answers because I knew I wasn't crazy. I did not have imaginary friends. I know what I saw. I know that I got in that room. I know that I did not manipulate my way by pulling chairs and getting a key, which I still don't know where it was, to get into this room. I wanted answers. But I didn't get them, really, until my mother had an experience where she saw the woman. And that was the best feeling, I think, probably ever, was really? Oh, you saw her now? Are you crazy? Being able to play that side of it with my mother. Really nice. It validated my experience. It just had to wait a few years to actually have that happen. So it was cool.
Yeah, so you had your lemonade there.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, in some ways, I can actually see a young little girl have a notepad taking notes watching the old Scooby-Doo cartoons.
Right, yes.
And their contraptions, what they came up with, and you implementing it.
Yes, I could never catch them and try to pull the mask off, though, which was really disappointing because, you think that there's definitely always someone behind that monster, you want to find them and pull the mask off, so. Mm-hmm.
I don't think too many people, at least not at a young age, would actually dive into that and like, okay, man, I'm going to prove this is legit. We're going to,
Nothing much has changed, it's kind of like if I know something and I haven't experienced, someone's not going to take that away from me. So that was, in a sense, I guess, even as a child, the mindset was, I know what I experienced, and, I want to figure out how I can prove that to you, because you're not going to take that away from me by calling me, crazy, or a liar, or whatever, because I know what I saw. I'm not insane. Not today.
Maybe another day, but no, exactly. Today I'm good.
Another day, but today my sanity is in check, so yeah.
This is something that I wish more people who are in the field of the paranormal would speak about, but there are a lot of young kids who experience different things. Some of it terrifying, some of it not so much, and they don't really have anyone to turn to because the first thing a person would say, an older person would say, is it's your imagination or something like that, or you go to a doctor, just pop these pills and it'll be fine, Yeah,
so, they'll go away. Yeah.
What advice can you give to those who are very young of age that are experiencing something paranormal?
I think to reach out to someone that they can trust. I think going to their peers is probably going to backfire on them because their peers, kids are not very nice. I have some children of my own, and I know that if they go to school and they say, hey, this happened, even if they talk about some of the things that, I come across, they've got a group of kids going, yeah, right, whatever, and the kids can be really mean. I think they need to go to someone who's older, who they can trust, understand that there is a possibility that they're going to be like, well, you didn't really see that, but they have to keep faith in what they did, experience. And, open up to those who they trust. I think having that trust is there. There's a lot of people that, they'll find somebody, if they're of age, where they can go on the internet and they'll find some random person who has a paranormal website. And let's face it, if you have a team, if you think of the word team in the paranormal, you instantly, these people go out and they create these websites. And there's a lot of people who are in this field who probably should have stuck just sitting on the couch watching the ghost shows and not gone out and tried to go into people's houses and stir things up. They need to be selective, and I know that's so hard because, who do you turn to? But to keep faith that there is someone out there who will listen. If they happen to run across me, I'll listen. I'll try to give them advice. I try to, help everybody I can. And even if, I can't make anything go away. I don't have a magic wand. If I do, I don't know where it is, so I've never found it. But, I can listen and, tell them how I would suggest that they either cope or, try to figure some things out. I never suggest them to go in and start screaming and yelling at something, and, that doesn't work. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's, someone else gave advice of saying, stand your ground and you yell at them and tell them to go away.
All right. Well, you do have to stand your ground, and you do not feed it with fear, but you have to come around the right approach. I mean, if you go in there and, it happens all the time, especially with, clients will contact and say, hey, this thing's keeping me up at night. It's doing this. It did this. And I told it, and I screamed and yelled, and I told it to, get out of my house, along with a whole lot of other choice words. And now it's hit the fan. Okay. And I don't know what to do. And I think that we come across that a lot. The other thing we come across is, the people reaching out saying, I know I'm not crazy, but my family swears I am, or my coworkers think I'm crazy because I've had, I'm dealing with this, and I need you to come out here and tell me, investigate and tell me that I'm not crazy, because I know I'm not crazy. And that's that same feeling I had as a child is I know I'm not crazy, so I can relate to that. And, I want to try to come out and document. All I can do is document and try to get you in touch with other people who may or may not be able to make something calm down, go away, whatever. But I can give you advice that I have learned throughout the years. Does it work for everyone? No, it probably won't work for everyone. But there's always hope, and I can document what I'm able to capture while I'm there.
Well, that's better than nothing, I say.
I think so.
But I would be one of the guys who would be scared half to death. That's why I believe in the paranormal, supernatural, the aliens, all that stuff. I just don't want to experience it. I'll talk about it. Right. But someone else can go into the field and experience it.
Right. Well, see, and that's why I love to go into places where other people are like, I'm not going in there. I have not had an experience that has scared me. Not scared me. Has something caught me off guard and made me jump? Yeah. Yeah, it's happened. My kids do that. They jump out and they're like, boo. And then sometimes I'm like, yeah, whatever. Other times I'm like, oh, okay, you got me. I jump. Am I scared? If I ever ran out of anywhere? No.
I almost said something. I'll rephrase it because I was going to say something not that nice. It wasn't derogatory, but.
Right.
But you pretty much have ice running through your veins at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I've been into some places that are rather dark, and, hey, I'm still here. It didn't get me yet.
So, yeah, I mean, you are here, and now you're investigating some of the most haunted locations in the U.S. I mean, yep. Like Gettysburg, Ohio State Reformatory, and, Pennhurst. Did you ever think your young experiences would lead you to those historic places?
No way. No, not at all. I mean, I knew I had that interest, and, I wanted to know more. Did I ever think that I would get to go to these places? No. I mean, I still have every place I think ends up on my bucket list. I don't know that I'll ever get to go to every place because it's like an endless scroll. But some of these places were like, oh my gosh, like if I ever get to go to Pennhurst, now I've been there multiple times, I've been by myself in a cell block at Ohio State Reformatory in a cell, you know, just sitting there asking questions. And it's, you know, those are the kind of things that I never thought I'd get to do. I had entire Ohio State Reformatory, an entire, you know, cell block. It's huge. And I'm over there by myself. I never thought I'd get to experience things like that. So I'm, you know, I consider myself really lucky. A lot of people consider me really crazy, and that's okay too. But I love it. You know, I love it.
Now, you know what I would like to see for a couple of investigations, not just from your team, but just in general? I would actually like to see if it would be possible to investigate ancient places such as the pyramids of Giza or the Aztec temples. Things like that. I would love to see that one day, and just to see if we could get some type of evidence.
I would love to do that. Unfortunately, my adventures within the paranormal are self-funded, and I am doing paranormal full-time, and that means I full-time don't have a paycheck. So all of the travel and all of the equipment and everything is you know, on my own dime. And, well, now I'm rubbing dimes together, but they're not reproducing any other dimes. So.
Yeah, you know what? You're not the first person to say this. One thing that I've noticed, and it's how I somewhat separate the real people from the fake people, if you're broke or not.
Right, exactly. And I am broke. I am broke. So you know that I obviously have, you know, I put a lot of money into my equipment, and I put a lot of money into getting to places, you know, to be able to go investigate. And you know, I wouldn't take any of it back. None of it. It's experiences that are, to me, priceless.
Yeah, you're going to have those memories and those feelings.
Until I lose my mind, and then I won't have any of them. But, you know, in the interim, you know, when that does happen, hopefully I'll just sit back and watch my video evidence from those times, and maybe it'll spark a memory, you know, but yeah.
I tell you what, if I ever win the lottery, I will find everything.
Exactly.
Because I'm interested in this. I mean, I think this is something that we as people, we really should look into more. Just the unknown and stuff. You know, right. I mean, it's better than developing nukes to drop somewhere in a desert for no reason. I mean,
exactly. Because that sounds really messy, and trying to figure out things that we don't know is pretty cool. I mean, and that's the beauty of this is you'll never run out of things, because we'll never really, I think, have any solid, hardcore answers. There are no experts in this field. No one knows everything. There's people who are seasoned, you know, and you learn, as you experience things, as the years progress, you know, you have your techniques that work for you. Does that mean that that's the only way? No, it doesn't. It's what works for you. That does not make you an expert. Maybe an expert of your own experience. How about that? But not an expert. And, you know, you'll forever be seeking answers. So really, it's great for someone like me with ADHD, because I can just bounce from one unknown to another and keep myself very entertained and never be done. It's a task that's endless.
I could imagine you being a hoot in an investigation. Well, I know you are.
Sometimes. You know, sometimes I'm probably not so fun, but yeah.
Well,
I like it.
Yeah, I caught, I was looking at some of your stuff on, it was live paranormal TV. And I can't remember the location, but you'll probably know once I say this. It was drawings of male genitalia on the walls.
Yes.
And video, like about maybe 4 or 5 minutes in, you sniff your armpits.
Yes, exactly. Which is so funny, because I was told, I cannot believe you did that on camera, and I said, why not? You know, the time called for it, and I'm like, yeah, you know, hey, why not? And that's just me, you know, I'm silly, and I don't care. And, you know, I get a lot of, you know, people who have a problem with that. And, you know, my advice for them is, and will always be, at the top corner of your screen, there is an X in the right-hand corner. If you do not like what you see, you do not like what I say, you do not like me in general, hit the X. I'm out of your life. It's fantastic.
Okay. I didn't want to get on your bad side.
I mean, that's, you know, I could say lots of mean things, but really, you know, if you don't like me, then don't watch. You know, don't listen.
You know, and that's a problem a lot of people seem to have. They forget that they could just go away. It's
they
like,
control what they view. They control what they hear. They control what they continue to entertain. And if you are bothered by me, by all means, don't include me in your daily internet stalking. Hit the corner X. Just don't watch it then. It doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm sure there's, plenty of people who don't like me. And hey, I don't know. Maybe I don't care for them. I don't know. But whatever,
I like to think that all women like chocolate. So since I'm black, I like to say only the men hate me because they can't have me.
There you go.
So that's what I go with.
Love it.
All right. So when you're doing an investigation, how do you approach it?
I guess it depends on each and every situation, because it's whether it's a public location that people do not live in, if it's like Ohio State Reformatory, or if it's like, Pennhurst, people at the present do not live in Pennhurst. So my technique and my approach is going to be different from that of being called out to where someone is living, a family is residing, or a business is being conducted there daily, with the same people day in and day out. Your technique will be different, I think, and it should be for each and every case that you go into, especially when there's clients involved, because if you're dealing with a client that, has, 9 kids, your approach is probably going to be very different from that if you're going into a house that just has, one little old lady who lives in it with a cat. It depends on what they're experiencing there. Sometimes I like to not know, especially some of these locations where there isn't a family involved, where I can just go in and investigate and be unaware of the history of the reports from the location and have my own experience, so it's not clouded with other people's experiences. So when I go in that one room, I think that I'm supposed to experience keys jingling and a piano playing. I don't know that yet. So if I go in that room and I have that experience without ever knowing anything about the other people's claims from that room, to me that helps further validate those other people's experiences. Rather, if I know ahead of time and I go in that room and I have that experience, I'm just added to that list. But when I'm dealing with a client, obviously, I have to know more because it's a more sensitive situation.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're very adaptive.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, this is kind of a stupid question. I know it's a stupid question, and it's just something that it feels like I have to ask, but it's almost impossible to answer. What is one of your favorite and least favorite investigations?
Well, my favorite. To pick my favorite, it's like asking me to pick my favorite child.
Exactly.
They're all my babies, so, I love them all. I'd have to say each and every experience and every location has its own highlight, as to why it might be on that list. There's definitely one place, and I'm not going to call it out by name, but I've been there so many times, and I just am, I love investigating. I love going to some of the same places multiple times, but then there's this one place that I seem to go all the time, and I just can't seem to get excited about going again.
Oh, the luster has wore off.
Yeah, it has. And then, I feel bad because, it's an okay place, but it's just kind of overdone for me. It's kind of like if you went to McDonald's every meal, every day for an entire week, and someone told you, hey, we're going to McDonald's, you're probably just going to be like, great. You're not going to be like, oh, yeah, man, I haven't been there forever. It sounds great. You're just going to be like, oh, great.
I tried everything on the menu.
Sure,
this
exactly.
And that.
You haven't found anything I liked yet, but, and I have had experiences at this place. It's just that, I feel like it's that, hey, let's go to, and I'm like, really? All right.
You know what it is, too? The spirits probably know you there now.
Yeah.
Hey, it's that redhead chick again.
Right, exactly. And, I've had some experiences there that were so amazing, and you go back, you kind of hold it to that bar. And it's not fair to probably hold a location to the bar, hey, I had this happen, it's gotta get maybe better, it's gonna at least hit that again. Cause, we don't have a contract with these, spirits. We don't have a deal made where when we drive, 20 hours to get to a location to do an investigation, there's no paperwork ahead of time where the entities are like, yes, we're going to give you 3 Class A EVPs. We're going to knock. Partial apparition will appear at one point for at least 30 seconds of your video filming. We don't have that. So we could drive 20 hours to go to a place. We could be there for 8, 10 hours, or maybe even 5 whole days. And you may have absolutely nothing happen. Now, does that mean that the place is not, haunted, it's not active, that the people are not experiencing what they claim? No, that is not what that means. It just means that it did not happen for you. Now, does that discredit or discount any experience that others have had there? No. We don't have a contract that they're going to do exactly the same crap that they did to that other person over there, and they agreed to it. No. It doesn't work that way. So, we invest a lot of time into, going to these places. Sometimes we have things happen, and guess what? In all honesty, sometimes we don't have anything happen. And that's the reality of this field, is that every time you walk into a place, just because you've been doing it for X number of years, does not guarantee you an experience. It does not guarantee you great evidence. Paranormal investigating is really boring. The review is really, really long and painful. And sometimes you have nothing. Reality.
You said how sometimes you'll catch something, sometimes you won't, dependent, you never know. And it brings me to this, and this was kind of a hot topic, maybe about 2-3 years ago, but the Seattle Demon House.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And what made it a hot topic in some regards is, number one, the guy there, Keith Linder, is that his name? Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He took video of his walls burnt with 666 in it, burnt Bibles, some weird, trippy stuff.
Yeah.
I won't say that I believe him, but I won't say I don't disbelieve him. Mm-hmm. I'll just stay neutral. Mm-hmm. But on one of the paranormal shows, I'm just gonna say it. What are they gonna do? On Ghost Adventures.
If not, I'll do it.
Yeah, on Ghost Adventures, the crew, they went there and investigated, and they didn't turn up jack squat. And it leads to your point that, sometimes you get stuff, sometimes you don't. And I'll get into the TV paranormal mess in a second, but you went there with Carissa Fleck.
Yep.
And you guys on footage, and everyone who's listening, you can go to live. Is it on your channel or Live Paranormal TV?
I don't know. I believe there is parts of the investigation on Live Paranormal, which it's on there, and then as well, it's on Chris and I both on our YouTube channels.
Yeah, and what I'm talking about is you can actually see a Bible, and the page is turning itself. I mean, no one was touching it. I'm assuming there was no draft. I don't think kinetic energy works that way. Or electromagnetic energy, whatever.
Right.
But, I mean, you can literally see this page just moving by itself. Mm-hmm. And, you caught something.
Yeah,
substantial.
and we caught a lot of things actually from there. A lot actually. With that case, a friend of mine came across Keith, and she had messaged him, kind of, just wanted to hear more about his story because she saw the Ghost Adventures episode and felt that he wasn't given a fair, chance or advantage. She believed him. Maybe not, necessarily 100% everything, because let's face it, we don't know. When I was there, I did not experience, things writing on the walls. I didn't have that happen. So as for that, I can't say that it did happen or did not happen because I did not experience it. And it's not fair of me to say or discredit someone else's experience based off of my time there. When I was there, that did not happen. That's all I'm going to put about that. But, she believed him. And when she talked to him, she could hear it in his voice that, he was having something go on. And she had never actually worked a case before, and she said, I want to try to help you. So he said, okay, so she calls me and goes, hey, I talked to this guy who was on Ghost Adventures. I'm like, okay, and she's like, and I told him I'd help him, and we're going to help him. And I'm like, what? I had never seen the episode. In fact, I talked to him before I had actually seen the episode, so I had no idea what I was getting into.
And that was probably a good thing in this case.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, I know the difference between what they say that they do when they are going out to conduct one of these investigations for one of these projects, as they have in the past, and what they actually do, and those are two very different things, as I have been told. Have I been on set to know that that is the case? No. But what I've been told is that the amount of time that they claim that they are investigating a location is not the case. And I think that sometimes, when it comes down to it, if you look at the history of that show in particular, and if you look at where they went to go investigate, how many times did you see that show go to a private residence that was actually occupied by a person and not made into a hotel or not made into a restaurant, this, that, or the other? This was a residential house. And to the best of my knowledge, now granted, I don't think I've seen every single episode that they had to date once that aired. But I did see a decent amount of them.
I've seen every single episode.
Okay, so you could probably tell me that was a case that particular situation was outside of the box as to what they would normally go to investigate. This is in suburbia. This is a neighborhood. This is a house that is inhabited by people who actually live there. They don't have a business there. This is just a house. And it's, yeah.
I can only remember one other episode where they went to a house that people lived in, and they got some responses and stuff like that. That was very early in the earlier seasons.
Okay,
so,
well there you go.
Yeah.
So it became outside the box for what they normally would have gone and done. As we all know, as I know from experience, when I go somewhere, it's not like things happen instantaneously just because I'm coming. They don't roll out the ghost red carpet and they're like, oh, here, we're gonna play it up for you. No. Have I heard some fishtails from some people that it sounds to me like it's a fishtail? Yeah. Have I said that to them? No. Because that would be me taking away their experience. Kind of like I felt as a child that my mom saying, hey, you're crazy, was taking away from my experience, in a sense saying that it did not happen. I know what I saw and I know what happened. Have I heard some that I'm like, wowie zowie, that's absolutely crazy, like, wow. And I go, huh, yeah, I do inside. But do I outwardly go on the internet, and, get behind my keyboard and be the bully that's like, you are full of it, that totally didn't happen, blah, 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 blah. No, I wasn't there. Okay? That's not my place to sit there and to ridicule them for their experience. Do I think they embellish sometimes their experience? Yeah. But who am I to say that? I'm nobody. I'm Joe Blow. But I can say with this particular case, I actually watched his house before I actually got a chance to go out there. I watched his house on camera with audio from my house, watching his house while he was at work, while he was sleeping, day in and day out. I am very pale, okay? I think that this helped make me even more pale because I spent my entire summer behind 5 computer screens watching and listening to his house nonstop.
Now that is dedication.
That's insanity. I think I probably should have been committed because honestly, it was like, I know what I heard before I even got to go there. So walking into the place was rather surreal because I'm walking into something that, in a sense, I've only seen almost like a set on TV, but I've watched this man that I've never met sleep, okay? That's a little weird for me, but hey, it had to be done. And I did it, and I day and night, I mean, you don't get much dorkier than this. This is dorkness right here. I watched this guy's house day in and day out. It's pretty dorky, trust me.
No,
my kids
it isn't.
were like, they're looking at me going like, really? Really? Like I was like, shh.
No,
and I had headphones.
It's your passion. It's not dorky at all. Believe me.
Well, I don't know. I felt pretty, dorky when I go outside during the day and I'm like, oh, the light. Oh, I'm melting. It's really bad. People don't even believe this, but it's the truth. I do have a tanning bed. It's crazy that I own one, but, I just don't even go get in it.
Really?
I probably flambe at this point. I'm pretty much see-through. I'm probably get confused when I'm out in the field investigating that I possibly, could be mistaken for it.
You're a redheaded Casper.
Yes, pretty much. Yes. I feel like I am. And, without bronzer, we all know I definitely am. I spent my whole summer day in, day out, day and night. I would sleep with my headphones on. I don't suggest that to anyone to sleep with corded headphones, but I did, and I actually slept with more than one pair. So I had earbud in one ear, and I had the ear, over the head earphones in the other ear. I mean, yeah, I dorked it out, and, but I wanted to help this guy, and I know from listening, knowing he was not home, and he was at work, knowing the flow of the house. I knew when the trash day was. I knew when they came and mowed the lawn. I knew when the kids got off the bus in the neighborhood. High school, middle school, elementary school. Okay? I knew all of these things, yet I had never been there. I learned the way that things worked in the neighborhood because I could hear them day in and day out. And I know that some of the things that I heard, could I sit here and 100% say, oh, that's definitely paranormal? No, I couldn't. For me, it had to be paranormal because it was from an unknown source. It's not known to me. Okay? So could it have been something else? I don't know. Hey, let's throw it out there. Sure. But until I could get out there and actually walk into that house and conduct my investigation, all of the things that I had heard and seen prior to that were just kind of like bonus for me. Like, wow, it kind of set the tone to, hey, I need to get my butt out there. And as I said before, I do paranormal full time. So, getting to Seattle, which I actually had been out in Washington State, right before Christmas, actually. And I almost did not make it home from that because of a storm that came in. I was investigating, with a very popular YouTuber out there at a hospital. It was an amazing experience, but it was a very cold one. We had no heat, and it was amazing, though. But I almost didn't get home, and now I have to come up with the money yet again to get myself out to Seattle. I just flown from Washington State, and somehow, some way, I worked it out where I was able to get out there and go to his house. And like I said, it was surreal walking in to somewhere that I've only seen essentially on a screen. And having everything be real, like, oh my gosh, there's the couch. I knew my way around. It was creepy and really weird, but it was awesome. Some of the things, like the Bible pages turning, that was insane to me. It still is insane to me. I look at it and I'm just like, what in the, cause to me, I'm still mind boggled. I had cameras layered around this house. Like when he came up to my room, cause I had my own room, and he opened up the door and saw all of my equipment on the bed when I first got there. He was like, how did you fit all that in there? I said, I'm magical. And he was like, wow, you're no joke, and I was setting everything up and, I had all these cameras. And this actually, the Bible pages happened. I was leaving for the airport within 3 hours of that happening. I wanted to go to bed, okay? I was tired. I don't get tired all that often, but lately I do. But then I didn't. And I was like, I have to fly all day tomorrow. I'm going to be grumpy. I have to pack all of this crap up. Okay, that in itself is like a long time task. And fit it in a suitcase nonetheless, okay? To get it back home without having to pay extra. And it's an art, really. I didn't really give myself enough time to do that shower and like lay my head on a pillow for 5 seconds. And I'm like, I just want to wrap this up and go. All of my equipment was completely drained at this point. Okay? And I'm just like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Every camera that I had tried to use that evening was dead within a matter of minutes. And I'm just like, this is insane. And I'm like, whatever, I'm going home tomorrow, whatever. I'm leaving in 3 hours actually. So I'm like, whatever, so when we're just like, okay, well, I've got audio running, whatever. We'll just, see if we can, get something to talk to us. And that's what we were doing when that started. And the reason why it was captured with a cell phone was because that was the only thing we had that had any juice left. We actually were able to capture it from 2 different angles, which was awesome. But we faced a lot of ridicule, all over the world. We went viral with that clip, when outside of the United States with that particular clip. And, we were ridiculed and criticized even by people who were our friends, quote unquote, prior to this. Now, anyone who knows me knows damn well I am not going to sit here and falsify something. Honestly, I am not that creative, okay? I'm really not. Secondly, I have not dedicated my full-time life here, okay, along with my whole summer and my paleness here, to, going out and doing something like that. I don't want, BS. I want answers. I want to know. And that's for myself, and in this case for Keith, because I felt that Keith was made to seem as though he was, falsifying things, that he was a liar, that he was crazy. And again, there's that key word, crazy. And you know what? That's how I felt as a child when I was told that these things didn't happen. You're crazy. And I know how that feels. And he was, to a grandioso scale here. When you've got every Ghost Adventure Zach fangirl coming at you, that's a lot of people. And that's a very vicious group of people if you think about it.
Oh, yeah, they are. I've had some words.
I feel for him, and if there's someone to try to take your experience away from you, it's not right. Now, do I know that, some of the things that, he had happen prior to me being there, were the cause of, something paranormal or perhaps something else? I don't know. But I know what I experienced while I was there, and I know that there was activity in the house. As for the writing on the wall, which sounds really funny to say, I don't know. It didn't happen while I was there.
Speaking of the Ghost Adventures and stuff like that, it must be somewhat bittersweet seeing these paranormal shows, because on one hand, it's introducing the paranormal supernatural to an audience that may not know much about it. They're interested in it, and it's something new, it's refreshing. It's like, wow, okay, so this might be some of the stuff I'm experiencing. But on the other hand, it's a lot of creative editing involved.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's good. It's good for those who are having something happen at their house and they feel that they're alone. A lot of people aren't comfortable bringing up occurrences that are happening that could be unexplained or perhaps paranormal at the water cooler. Because they're going to get that, hey, that redheaded girl over there, the new girl, she's crazy. Did you hear her talking about, things floating around, whatever? Yeah, that's, kind of like the general impression. I think these shows actually have made it more comfortable for people to discuss their experiences. I think there's still people who, are a little taken back by, and they're really fighting a war within themselves as to whether this actually just happened. And I understand that side too. Hey, this is beyond my range of thinking. This is outside my normal. I don't know about this, and there's that whole acceptance period. I think that they made a lot of other people feel more comfortable coming forward and saying, hey, yeah, I've had an experience. And for that, I thank them for that. And I think that's great. Now, as for the theatrical, editing side, it's kind of drives me nuts, but I understand the need for editing for the simple fact that no one wants to sit and watch a 8 to 10 hour investigation on television.
Yeah, because your investigation, like the real investigations, are extremely long. They get extremely boring at times.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody wants to hear someone's stomach gurgle and have them go tag my stomach. That really gets old. It gets really old, especially when you're sitting and reviewing. And if you have as many cameras and as many audio recorders as I do, and you go into a case like Carissa and I do for, however many days, multiple days, 24 hours a day, when you go back to review, I wonder what is wrong with me, because I go, oh my goodness, seriously? I mean, I've got a ton of cameras, a ton of audio, and I'm running my stuff 24/7. That's crazy right there.
No, it's not. It's just, you're very passionate.
When you go to review it.
That's what
But when you go to review it, it is so overwhelming. And, the thing is that clients think that you should have it instantaneously done by the time you're leaving and packing your stuff up, that you should almost have like a written report for them. And unfortunately, that is not the way it goes. I can tell you if I experience something personally. As for what I have captured on audio or video, I don't have a handy-dandy team that sits in the room and reviews it for me while I'm actually doing it. That would be great. I don't have that, though. I have to go through and review my stuff. And that's, if I'm there for 8 days and I'm recording 24 hours a day for 8 days, and I have 10 cameras and I have 8 audio recorders, you do the math.
Yeah, that's the other thing
that's
too
hell.
with the other thing too with these TV investigations. They're not there for days at a time.
No.
They're there for a few hours, like maybe 10 hours, 15 hours. Yeah. And what can you really get in that time? How are you going to really experience that energy unless it's a very strong energy?
Mm-hmm. Right. And I mean, in all honesty, I think that there has to be, and this is something that Chris and I have discussed and kind of lived by, is that you have to have them get familiar with you just as you have to get familiar with them. And by living there, it gives you the opportunity to kind of experience what the family would experience, what they are currently having go on. Does it mean it's going to be exactly the same? No. But the likelihood of the, entities there feeling as comfortable as they do with the family to present whatever it is that they're doing is much more likely. I think it helps also kind of go into that, understanding and trying to have the client understand that you feed things with fear. And a lot of times, these people are scared and they're running out. They're living in one room in their house, and that's not cool. That's no way to live. You need to take back your house. I'm not saying we need to burn a whole bunch of whatever here, spread a whole bunch of this stuff and, that's going to make everything go away. No. I'm saying that you have to stand your ground. You don't have to scream. You don't have to yell. You just have to be firm and say, hey, this is my place. We can coexist if you agree to, leave my kids alone, leave my dogs and cats alone. We have to have an agreement. If you can agree, and yeah, you're talking to air, and if you're not comfortable talking to air, well, then, I don't know what to tell you. Because if you think moving's going to work for you, guess what? That doesn't work either all the time. So,
you know what? When you're talking to Air Comment, it just reminded me a few weeks ago on Live Sci-Fi, they did a 72-hour live stream at the Zozo House event.
Yeah.
And I was looking at that, and Darren Evans was there. You know Darren, right?
Yeah, actually, and I know Tim, that's who I was with when I was in Washington State before I made it out to Seattle to go to help Keith. I was actually investigating with Tim and Kristen. Yeah.
You know what? I probably saw that then, and okay.
I was bundled up like an Eskimo because it was so cold, and I was freezing.
Okay.
During a blizzard. Yeah.
People who want to know Darren's history with the house, just listen to our other podcast. Yeah, shameless plug. Listen to our other podcasts with film on it. They're really good. You should definitely listen to it. But he's had a history with that place, and it's a family in there now that they had a history with that place. Mm-hmm. And when they went there, man, it was some trippy stuff. I mean, you're seeing orbs flying around, and they were actually orbs. It wasn't dust. It was not bugs. This was legit orbs. Mm-hmm. You can hear some laughing, little shadows, and then they would use the Ouija board, and things come through on that. I had a point to all of this, and I totally forgot it.
I'm very familiar with Darren though, and I think Darren's awesome. He's a great guy. I actually got to meet him for the first time at WouijaCon, which was in Baltimore, I guess now a few years back. And he's awesome. He makes a great Ozzy, as you saw, if you saw that stream. That was just awesome to me. I didn't get to catch the whole stream because I was actually out investigating that weekend as well. But yeah, you know, his history with that place is rather complex, rather deep.
And you guys can also read about it. And again, another shameless plug. And I'm not getting paid for this, Darren. Wink, wink. You can read about it in the Zozo Phenomenon by Darren Evans and Rosemary Ellen Guiley.
Mm-hmm.
Very good book. You know, it's a quick read. It's not too long. It's only like 217 pages, but really good to go into the history of this Z entity and stuff like that. So, yeah. Shameless plug. So unprofessional. It's all right.
It's fine. They're absolutely, I love them both. They're great. But yeah, everyone should definitely read that and check it out. I think that, you know, that there's so much to that story that they just have to read it for themselves. I'm not going to give them any hints.
Exactly. I will say this, though. You want to catch the repeat of that stream because it was some trippy stuff happening. I saw the whole thing because I don't have a life. So
yeah, I usually don't either unless I'm investigating, because actually it's funny because when Tim goes and investigates somewhere, if I'm not there, then I get a lot of messages from people. They tell me when there's a tech issue, or if, you know, the camera in, you know, camera 6 is off, you know, and I'll be sending him a message going, Tim, please don't hate me. Apparently camera 6 is off. Like if I'm at the store, I'll be like, I was told and I had it verified by a reliable source. You might want to fix it. You know, and I'm playing like the helper from a distance. But unfortunately this particular time I actually was away, and that's happened a few times, and I always kick myself and I have to try to find the time to go back. The part that makes it difficult is when I'm actually out investigating as well. So then I have evidence to review, and then I have to try to, you know, get through all that, and then I can use that as the reward for doing so. But, you know, I have to say, you know, Tim knows I think that he's a fantastic investigator. I think Darren's absolutely awesome. So that's definitely one that I will go back and check out.
Yeah, it was good. Now, one thing I actually criticized about that, in a little bit of a recap and thoughts video I did, was the safety aspects of it. I felt that they should have expressed that you should definitely not do this at home. It's real stupid. Like, that's just what it is. It's stupid. You're messing with something that... Anyway.
Yeah.
How do you protect yourself on an investigation?
Well, sometimes I don't do it as well as I should. I always, you know, tell everyone, don't do as I say, don't do as I do. Because, you know, I'll be honest, when I'm traveling, I'm driving, how many ever hours... I'm getting there, I'm setting up my equipment, I'm kind of in the zone, and I'm kind of not thinking about the fact that, hey, you know, you might want to do that because, you know, you've had to deal with the repercussions in the past for not taking those steps. I try to remember when I have to clean all my stuff up and get it in the car and then drive however many hours home, to remember to say, hey, you have to stay here, you're not welcome to come home with me, you cannot attach yourself to my equipment or my things, this is your place. I go to mine. I am that jerk who do not do this at home. But I have gone to locations where there's been families involved who are just not able to handle what's going on. In those situations, I have almost, you know, made my car into the magic school bus, and I'm like, hey, come on, hop on in. You can come home with me because I'm an idiot. But, you know, in some situations, you know, I just know that the families are so unable to deal with what's going on, and I'm pushover. I'm like, oh, I want to help you. Hey, if they're going to listen, which I can't say that they will or they won't, or this is going to work, or they're not going to, you know, get on that supernatural subway system and get their butts back here. I don't know how that works. But if you all want to come with me, you can. I'm asking you to, so you can leave these people to live because they're not comfortable, and that's not fair to them. Yes, I'm that dum-dum who's done that.
And you know, some things have actually gone on with you, because I believe
some things happen here.
I believe recently somebody wanted some cookies.
Yeah, it looks that way. And then, you know, actually the last few days I haven't put up the video yet, but in my basement there's this puzzle, which it took me a while to figure out that it was the puzzle. It sounded like a bird or something, and I'm like, what in the world is this? it was sitting on top of the elliptical, which, doesn't get used, kind of like that tanning bed, but, it was sitting on top of the pedal, and it's one of those puzzles that you put the pieces in, and by putting the piece in, it kind of reinforces a good job, so it makes a sound for the little kid. Well, the pieces are probably, I don't know, they've been gone for years, let's put it that way, and you've just got this carcass of the puzzle outline, the wooden puzzle that you put the piece into, and it's supposed to make a sound when the kid does a good job. That part's still here, but not the pieces. So, it's sitting over there on the elliptical, nothing is around it. No one is going near it, let's face it. We're not in the mood to exercise right now. And it's going off. And it took me a few days. I was like, what is that? That thing is so annoying. I was like, it sounds like one of the toys are like over there getting pressed somehow, whatever. Like, I'm too tired to deal with it right now. I'm going to sleep. And then the other times I just turn the TV up because lately I used to not watch TV. Now I'm kind of like sucked in by Forensic Files. But, I'm sitting here like all late at night and it's going off the other morning and the other evening. It drove me nuts all night long, all morning. All it did was, it was like doing it on purpose because I'd be like, oh, for the love, just stop it. And what happens? It does it, and it does it almost like a little kid who's like going, I'm not touching you. Yeah, it was just doing it right before I got on here with you. I don't know if it's still doing it right now. I can't tell because I have headphones on, but, yeah.
That would annoy me to death.
Yeah, I kind of hate repetitive sound, and I think that by putting that out there into open space by saying that, I probably just encouraged it to hit the same times. But yes, I've had a lot of things going on here lately. This house has always been on the more active side. I'm sure that by going and doing so some of the places I go and doing what I do, that I probably don't help that. But I do have my ground rules here. Unfortunately, I did not put everyone in that window of things that they can't mess with. So something messed with someone that I'm gonna have to add into my you're not allowed to mess with window, like umbrella coverage here.
Be sure to put me on that list because I don't need something like popping through.
Yeah, well, and see, that's the thing. We don't know what the rules are. We don't know how this works. We don't know how they travel. I don't know if there's some higher power that they have to deal with or they can just do whatever they want. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, oh, I do know, because I don't. And anybody who says that they do know, well, I'm sorry. Like, how? How do you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, unless...
I'm dying to hear this,
unless you're able to communicate, like, one-on-one right then and there, and... Until I personally get to have that interview with an entity, where they're sitting down and, we're kind of, doing the whole interview style thing where, they get emotional and I can hand them a tissue. I'm sorry. Until I get to have that experience for myself, I'm kind of going to be like, am I going to sit there and say anything? Probably not, because, I'm not going to take their experience away. But there's just that one right there I don't think I can handle. Yeah. When you're doing your investigations, I think a lot of what may or may not happen is pretty much determined by what energy and expectations you bring in also. For instance, I'm a squirrely person. I know I'm squirrely. And I get freaked out easily. And I would be fearful, and I would probably attract things I much rather not deal with. As opposed to someone like you, and I say this with love. But you're a goofball.
Right.
But you're energetic and you're positive, and I think you'll attract more positivity and less things that...
Not always.
Not always.
No. I've had some rather dark things. I think that there's that whole trying to intimidate factor that comes into play. Let's face it, I'm short, which we talked about. I'm more average, but I appear to be very short. And, I'm this little girl who's walking in and, it's kind of like, hey, what do you say? Let's scare her to death. Let's try our best. I've had some very interesting things happen. And hopefully I'll be able to get a video out at some point from the one most recent, experience that was just over the top insane. Can't really go into detail, but I so want to. But, yeah, I've had some nasty things decide that, they want to mess with me.
Yeah.
I do think that sometimes I attract the kids. I think that probably whatever's messing with this puzzle here at my house is probably a kid. Do I know? No, I don't know. But, I don't know that many adults who would be like, hey, let's go play with that puzzle for, 3 days straight.
Well, you know what? It's funny that you say that because I have a thing about puzzles. I always do them. I usually just do 650 pieces. So
that's more advanced than this puzzle, though. I think you would be very bored with this one. It's all of like 6 pieces that could be in there total, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's very, very, yeah.
I was thinking about it, like if I were to pass, well, I'm going to pass over eventually, but if it were to happen, I would be a ghost just wandering around or whatever. I would be such a pervert. I honestly would be. I'd be a nice pervert, but I would be a pervert. And and I'm thinking about these guys, like at Penhurst, for instance. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of guys, gruff, mean dudes in there. Mm-hmm. And here's you could curse me out later if I'm overstepping my bounds, but here's a very beautiful young woman walking in, and, here I haven't seen a chick in a long time. All I've been looking at is gruff.
Trust me, that happened at Ohio State Reformatory. Hopefully that episode will go out sometime because we're creating an episode out of it. But yeah, something decided that it was gonna go ahead and kind of go into taking care of kind of that line of things.
Yeah. So you could, yeah. So that would probably be me to a certain extent. I mean, I would like.
Well, I just find it funny, because I know going into Ohio State Reformatory, I'm going into a prison that was, yes, at one time they did have women there, but let's face it, they had a lot of men there who did not get to, see a whole lot of women, especially in solitary. They like to, and it's, from what I know now, the reports are they like to grab women. Women have been reported being grabbed, being groped, having their hair pulled and things like that. And a lot of these places, I just go in, I don't set my expectations of, hey, I'm here to get groped. I know that that's a possibility, just like I know that, anywhere I go, hey, something may happen, something may not happen, This particular instance was, pretty funny. I mean, I actually busted out laughing, and I'm like, really now? Okay.
You know what? You have to be the only person in the world who would laugh at something like every other person. Something grabbed me.
Yeah, no, are you kidding me? I was laughing. I'm like, okay then,
Next time, slap it harder.
Exactly. Well, I think I did say something like that. You gotta do better than that, because that's just the way I am, and, but when you see that quirky, fun side go away is when someone who I'm investigating with gets messed with. When I feel that they're being picked on upon something in a space. And, that's when people see a different side of me. And I know that has happened before. And people, they don't know, a lot of people who are viewing it didn't know what to think. And, hey, I can be very, very nice, but when you mess with someone who I care about, and if I'm investigating with you, and we're out at a place that is, wherever, and it's just us, and I care about this person, I have to care about this person, I have to trust this person, and if you mess with, at this point, they're my family, you mess with my family, that's it. And people have seen that side of me, and I think they didn't know what to think. 'Cause that side only comes out when Mama Bear comes out. But Mama Bear came out, and, I can hold my own.
I believe you.
That's
like, that's like Rose. I mean, she's 5'1". She's tiny. Maybe, I'm not going to say that. Never tell a woman's weight. Never, no.
Yeah, you'll be in trouble no matter what.
Yeah, but she's tiny. I think that's good. Yeah, she's tiny and everything. And, like, everyone knows she works in retail. And, guy was messing up in there. Tall dude, maybe 6'5". And she walks up to him and she just lets him have it. This little tiny girl putting this huge dude in his place.
Oh, yeah.
Mad dogging him and everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, you know what? My saying for this is, we may be small, but we are mighty. And people know. They're like, hey, you know what? Don't mess with her. She's crazy. She might be little, but don't go there, dude. It's good practice to, it's a good lesson to put out there. People need to understand, especially because I have a lot of built up aggression. So like, don't mess with me, and don't mess with my friends. If something that I cannot see, that I cannot, I can't go over and grab it and say, hey, you got to stop messing with my friend. And that's a sense of huge frustration, because it's not like there's someone who is physically standing in front of you picking on, your teammate or your friend that you're investigating with. It's something that is unseen, that is, manipulating their emotions. It is affecting them physically, mentally, and, you can't see it to go, get in its face and fight it off. And that's a whole nother level of frustration and anger that has to come out, because it is frustrating, and it makes me mad. Don't mess with my friends.
Now, even though you can't see it, you do have some tools that allow you to somewhat find it or hear it. And what are those tools? Like, I hear about the spirit box and, of course, EVP record. What are those things?
Oh, we have the EVP recorders, which, simple audio where we can attempt to ask questions and hopefully receive some sort of, audio answers or communication. We also have the ghost boxes, which is ITC communication. We hope that they're able to manipulate the radio airwaves in order to speak back to us, answer questions, tell us what's going on. I've had some success with those. I love ITC research. I think it's fascinating.
What is ITC?
Intra-trans communication. I don't know. I always screw up the acronym. So, yeah, you might have to look that one up. I know what it is, but I can't say it because I can't say it because I'm retarded. But, but the principle behind it, reverse speech, they've incorporated within some of these radio boxes or applications that you can use. I definitely have much more faith in actual radio versus applications, just because I feel that, I can understand the radio, and the way that it's, the way that it's been hacked in order to attempt to communicate. I think there's less ways that can be rigged that could, change the outcome of your results. Not saying that all applications are that way. And yes, you know what? I will try anything. I will try to give everything a fair chance. And, some equipment, it might be great for someone else and just not for me. I'm not saying that it doesn't work or anything like that. I'm just saying it's not my cup of tea. That does not mean it's bad. We have REM pods, which, something it usually has a silver stick. Something can come over. We're asking it to touch it. By touching it or coming around the perimeter of, it will detect whether something is near it. We will get a audio tone as well as lights depending on your settings on your particular model. We search with a millimeter for milligauss and temperature changes. We've got the IR cameras and the night vision cameras, so we can actually see and hopefully other people can see, and maybe we could get a visual, whether we get abnormality or what.
The places you investigate is super dark. You can't see anything.
You can't see anything at all, and I am not a huge fan of flashlight people. I investigate with some people, and all they do is they click their flashlights on and off, and quite honestly, it drives me nuts. I don't like repetitive sound, as I said before.
I know you can hear
exactly, that. And I can hear that, and it's just like click, 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 click. And I'm like, do you realize that we could have had a very faint EVP coming through that now we can't hear because we hear click, 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 click. It's distracting, and it drives me crazy.
No,
but
you probably shouldn't have never told me that, because if we become friends and we actually speak out after this, I'm going to do that. I will literally make an hour video of just...
Yeah, I actually have a friend who I investigate with frequently, and I told him, I said, well, honestly, let's just hope that no one plays a drinking game to this particular video, because in this one segment, if they were to drink every time they heard the click of the flashlight, this would be a very bad outcome.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, seriously? I was like, listen, count. He's like, I can't even count. I said, exactly, you have a problem and you need to go to therapy. And he's like, I think you're the one who needs therapy. And I'm like, maybe we both do. Because it drives me nuts.
Yeah, so you should never have told me that.
I know, and I put it out there for everyone to drive me nuts now, and I kick myself when I do this.
I could be nice and edit it out, I really could be. So I don't know. It depends on which Melvin we're going to deal with, angel or devil.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
I might be nice. I don't know yet.
Yeah, it's my pet peeve and it drives me crazy.
What about trigger objects? Do you use those or anything? Like, for instance...
I do.
Oh, okay, so you...
I do, yes, I do. Actually, I have a baby doll that, it actually detects shadow. So it's a shadow baby, as some people call it. If something goes in front of it that creates a shadow, it will actually detect it and the baby will cry and kick. And that actually happened at the Demons in Seattle house, when no one was home, and the baby was going off. I know that went viral, and Fox News claims, I think in one of their reports before they corrected it, that it was a baby crying. But it was the baby doll. It was the shadow baby, which I purchased from the internet for the purpose of investigation. It was made for this, to be used in this sense. People are like, oh, that sounds like my kid's baby doll in their toy box. I'm sure it does. And that's the most beautiful thing about this type of equipment is if I bring something into, the house that I'm investigating that is perhaps something that I can use to obtain evidence that might be familiar to something that may be there rather than something intimidating looking, I'm going to bring in a thing that's not all that intimidating looking and hoping that I can have some sort of reaction using this device rather than this intimidating box that looks like a trap or something like that. I think I'm going to have a better result. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. But maybe I've also put years and years into this and actually tried bringing that big box that looks like a trap in versus bringing something else in. And, my results of my own personal investigations have proven for me personally that bringing that baby doll that sounds like your kid's in your toy box may actually give me a better outcome. Just saying. People are real quick to criticize, but, I also like to use spy gear. My kids, they had this stuff laying around and I'm like, hey, that's a great idea. And hey, we all know, as I've said before, paranormal full time equals broke. You've got to be resourceful. So, it's an inexpensive, way to attempt to, capture evidence. And, before you bring something into someone's house and you have it go up, you need to use it at home. You need to try to, be skeptical of this device, not just of the experiences that you're having. You want to obviously not blame everything on an entity. Let's face it, sometimes it is the water heater. Sometimes you did misplace your keys. Let's be real here. But, I want to use it at home. I want to see what makes it go off. I want to see what doesn't make it go off. I want to see if it's too sensitive. I want to see if it's not sensitive enough, and I have to come up and smack it in order to get it to go off, because then I'm going to know the amount of force that it takes to make this go off. And in the event that it does, we got something seriously going on here, and that's pretty awesome for me, capture-wise. Not for the people who might have to reside there. But,
gotcha.
Yeah, so I think, you have to be resourceful. Your trigger objects should vary, and, sometimes that trap box thing might be better for some place, whereas my crying baby doll might be better suited for another location. But, yeah, I've totally loved trigger objects.
Now, one thing I would like to see more of is, people trigger objects. In other words, dressing up like in the year that whatever was operating the prison or insane asylum, and this could be disturbing, but if you go to a plantation or whatever, I would actually like to see a slave and slave master type thing and just see what happens, because you got to stir up those emotions to get some type of evidence, but.
Right, that would be very interesting. Actually.
I would really like to see that.
Yeah, I think it would be very neat too, just to see if the outcome was different by doing so versus not doing so. And that's where, we all, instead of just watching what you see on TV and thinking that that's the only way that there is to do something, thinking of ways that we can advance this field. Maybe some of these things that are just as easy as the flour from my mom's kitchen, the baby powder, or as you said, dressing to the time period to see if we can, stir something up is, and there are people who are doing it, you just don't see it every day. And and for people out there who come up with something, never think that you are the first to come up with something, because I hate to break it to everybody, but all these people who claim that they are the first ever are honestly just lying to themselves, tooting their own horn, and aren't. And it makes me laugh because, you know, there are so many people who have done so many things in this field and they didn't feel the need to brag about it because they didn't even have social media yet. Okay? You know, never assume that you're the first, you know?
Usually when someone says they're the first or they're the most realist and so it's an ego thing.
Yeah, it's simply they're tooting their own horn. Yeah. And you know what? I'm sorry, but in this field, there's no one should be tooting their own horn. Everyone should be just grateful that they got to go somewhere and got to experience something. And if you get to continue to do so, that's awesome. And it's amazing, you know?
Okay. Now I'm into something that you may or may not want to answer, which is fine if you don't. Mm-hmm. All right. So assuming you're single, I don't know, but assuming you are, how the heck do you approach a relationship with a ghost following you around?
Well, I'm not, so I don't have to deal with that exactly.
Okay.
But I could imagine that, you know, it might be hard. I know that you know, explaining to my family that, you know, hey, this is what I'm doing full time now. That in itself, that conversation itself is not always well taken. You know, they're like, what? What are you doing? Where are you going? What? You know, and especially if you have a family that doesn't necessarily believe in, you know, the paranormal. They're very skeptical, or perhaps they did have their own experiences, but they think that you're just crazy because who does that? You know, I've dealt with that. I continue to deal with that from various members of my family. They just look at it's the one look that they give you where they just shake their head if they happen to be present when someone asks you what you're up to at the family reunion, you know, they're like, oh, you should go. Now, and, you know, it's not always easy, but, you know, hey, they might think I'm crazy, but I'm proud of it. And I like what I do. I love what I do. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't, because it sure doesn't pay to do it.
Well, one day it will. I'm telling you.
Yeah, well, maybe not. Who knows?
No, I'm telling you, one day it will. Yeah, that's just it. It's going to happen.
Right.
In my little intro for you, I mentioned that you're the host of a radio show, Paranormal Spotlight. How did that come about?
Actually, the owner of Live Paranormal, Rob Dhirk, actually found me on social media and harassed me, going, hey, you should do a show, hey, you should do a show. I'm like, what are you even talking about? Who are you? I don't know you. You've never heard me speak. Like, you don't even, like, know anything about me. Why do you think I should do a show? And he was like, because I think you'd be good at it. I was like, you don't know me. And I kind of blew him off. He kind of kept, you know, he was really great at keep poking and going, hey, you should do one. Finally, I was like, what do you want from me? And he's like, I just want you to do a show. And I said, fine. Would that make you happy? Fine. So I did it, and he was right. I fell in love with it. I love, I love doing it. My first show was My Paranormal Experience, which opened up, basically was attempting to talk to people who might have never opened up about their experiences, people who just didn't have anybody else to talk to about their experiences, and, also bringing on some of the people who were more seasoned in the field who could, talk about things that they had experienced and perhaps people could relate to, which I absolutely loved. But as time progressed, I had a lot going on in my personal life. I actually stopped doing shows for about a week, and then Rob's like, you got to do a show with me. And I'm like, okay, but I just stopped doing a show, which, I love that show and I want to bring that back at some point. Right now, I just can't because I'm traveling a lot. I tried to do Paranormal Spotlight Radio, and it's been a while since we've done a live episode. I was hoping that tonight we would. But I believe I just got a message from him, actually. I don't know if we're going to be on live tonight or not. But I'm hoping at least, you know what? I'm not even going to press the issue. I'm hoping by December we're live again. A lot of it had to do with me traveling a lot lately, that I wasn't able to always have an internet connection or even electric in the first place.
Yeah, because some of those places you go to, it's just totally dead.
Yeah, we have no power.
Yeah, good luck getting a cell phone signal.
We don't even have toilets, we don't have water, we don't have heat we had nothing. Some of these places that we go to and stay, and yeah. So needless to say, I have Sprint cell phone service, so I have no service. I have no data, and the likelihood of me being able to rub sticks together and somehow conduct enough energy to create a charge, very unlikely. So yeah, we kind of took a little bit of a break, and then we had our big SuperCon event, and it's like one thing after the other. And then right now, I think everyone in his house is sick, and we have some stuff we have to get together for a company that has a deadline of this evening. So it looks like my evening and my afternoon are completely planned out for me now, so I can take care of all of that stuff. So I might not be able to do a show. Who knows? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But if I do, it's on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, and you have another show. I don't even know if you could speak about this or not, but I'm assuming you could say a little bit about it because there are trailers for it, but it's called Breaking Darkness.
Yes, Breaking Darkness, I can tell you is coming soon. I can tell you I work with some fantastic people, and it's just a great concept. Maybe I think that because I came up with it. But it's the people who I got to work with are absolutely amazing, and there'll be more coming soon. You might see it somewhere soon. I can't really say any more than that.
Well, but, can you at least share the concept, or what was it?
I can't share it, but Curses. It's amazing. I know. I'm so sorry. But that was where we filmed actually the first episode of that at Ohio State Reformatory. Okay. So when that does come out, for those who get to see that maybe, or who some may have already seen parts of it, but yeah, that's where I had my experience in solitaire with some gentlemen who hadn't seen ladies in a while. So, yeah.
Freaking perverts.
It was funny though. It was definitely funny.
Well, okay. When it does air, I hope you won't mind if I do a episode recap and review.
Oh no, not at all. I think it'd be great.
Although I might be somewhat harsh because I take
that's fine.
Take my stuff very seriously.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay. And you know what? I think this is a good place to end it.
Okay.
For everyone to know, where can we find you on social media if someone wants to get in contact with you about a possible case or something?
They can always go to my website, Niki ParaUnNormal.com, which I simplified as well. So if you cannot spell that out, you can just type in Niki ParaNormal.com, and it will bring you to the same place because I try to make it easy. Or they can always contact me via email, which you're going to have to go unnormal, which would be NikiParaUnNormal@gmail.com. They can contact me on Twitter at Niki ParaNormal. They can find my Facebook page by typing in Niki ParaUnNormal and find me that way. And on YouTube as Niki ParaUnNormal. And I believe all those links are also on my website.
And don't worry, I will put them all in the description as well. So there you guys go. Make sure you look in the description box, and if you want to get in contact to a possible case, or whatnot, or to say, hey, you do awesome work. Keep it up.
Too. I would appreciate that.
Everyone needs a little positivity every now and then.
Thank you. That would be I think if there was a little bit more of that in the world in general, I think everything would probably be a little bit nicer.
All right. Also, guys, don't forget to check out Unexplained Possibilities Facebook page and Twitter. And Niki, thank you so much for coming aboard. It was great.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
And don't forget, guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Remember to tell them how. Bye, everybody.